All right, welcome back. You're still watching Morning Live on SABC2 and SABC News Channel 404. Leanne, of course, still in Cape Town in conversation with the Finance Minister Gordhan, whereby they're dissecting the budget speech, looking into all aspects. But most importantly, we've requested that you send through your tweets at Morning Live SABC. Let's get those questions on the screen so that Leanne can be able to convey them to the Minister. All right, the first one from Sipom Jali. Foreign nationals are earning income, yet they escape tax. I think the Minister made mention of those who are invading tax. They also access services like your health, education, etc. How do we address that? All right, that's the first question to the Minister. The next one from Jeremy. Minister, please indicate the percentage increase for the GEPF. I believe it's the Government Employees Fund pensioners. All right, the third one from Youth Development ZA. What is Minister's comment with regards to alleged collusion by banks on the currency fixing? Mapola also writing to us at Morning Live. Minister, congratulations for your sterling job. All right. I believe, Leanne, you've got the questions?
It's working. It's working.
All right, thank you very, very much, Palesa, and thanks to South Africans for writing in and sending us those questions and comments here on the program. So we are going to start by answering some questions now, and the Deputy Minister has the questions that were asked a bit earlier by the radio stations and some of the listeners there. So let's get the Deputy Minister to give us those. Mr. Jonas, thank you very much. Good to see you this morning.
Hello, everybody. On higher education, I mean, the simpler part of the question is that we allocated 16 billion in this budget. Remember last time we allocated 16. So in total it's 32 billion. The more difficult part of the question is that I think the debate at the moment about higher education is problematic in the sense that in order to resolve education problems, we need to look at education and training system in its entirety. Because some of the problems you are experiencing in higher education are a reflection of the failure of basic education. They are also a failure of early childhood development. So if you are going to take a medium, long-term view about education in the country and the role that education should play, both in promoting growth, reducing inequality, we've got to have a deeper and broader discussion about the education and training system of the country, which I think if we don't deal with it, we face challenges in the future because it is failing. I mean, let's look at the education outcomes, dropout rate of basic education, how many children actually have their fate decided early in life, year 1, year 2, year 3. Already their fate in life is decided and they are written off. I always like my friend always say that doctors have been problems are normally buried. Education problems, they walk around all the time. We face them. So education is central, I think, and we can't afford to lose this opportunity for a bigger debate. And one of the things we've been pushing for very hard is that we need almost an indaba, national indaba, on education and training in the country to try to resolve the issues as basic issues and fundamental issues that confront our education system. That's probably the more complex part. And that requires leadership. Across the board. I mean, in government, it does require more visionary leadership. It requires visionary leadership in private sector, in civil society, etc., etc. And I dare say that we lack at the moment. If to be frank, I think we in '94, it was nice. You had strong leadership at all across the board. Let's face it, today we have a serious challenge. That's why we take refuge on slogans and stuff like that. The second issue is, again, the issue about rail. Again, the simpler answer is that if you look at the budget, I think there's an allocation to PRASA. I was just getting the figures right. It's 16.7 billion to continue with the program of renewal that they've been driving. And that probably points to the importance of rail within the broader economy. But again, the point the minister made about the need for an economic charter. And I can't, not use this opportunity, Minister. Our crisis at the moment is that our growth model has reached its sell-by date, quite frankly, to be blunt.
Yeah.
And it does, and actually the national, if you like, social contract is disintegrating, actually. And that's why you have all sorts of things, state capture and all of these things that are happening and so on. So they reflect fundamentally the weakness in the bigger social contract that we're supposed to have as a country. And it does call for a new national dialogue on the economy, on education and training, to try to find a big agreement on these issues. You have a failing economy, and I dare say that the state, if we're not serious about issues, equally has its own fault lines, that are glaring and for all of us to know. Our education and training system is also equally failing. That's a serious dilemma for the country. And if we don't see that, I'm talking to all sectors of society, because that points to a need for a more rigorous dialogue as a country to try to arrive at a new social bargain, if you like, that begins to map out the way forward, that begins to create a common vision, etc. As I say, that requires strong leadership across sectors. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Deputy Minister, for that. I'm going to quickly get a question, and I see Tony Ehrenreich there standing. I want Labour to come in and talk a little bit, and then we're going to take a break afterwards, and then we'll get an answer to it. But the issue that we haven't touched on is that of jobs. And I think what some critics were saying is that within the budget, we did not see how jobs were going to be created through all of this, and also a mentioning of black economic empowerment. That's what some people were hoping for. So from the Labour perspective, do you want to come up, give your views? We will then take a break, and then of course we'll get the answer. But job creation, I imagine, is something you'd like to see.
Thank you very much. Yes, Minister, thanks for the budget. The question about what's happening in the economy, in 1994 the corporate tax rate was around 50-odd%. Now it's 28%. But yet we haven't seen business investing, and instead what we've seen is the collusion by the banks and many of the other industries. How are you going to ensure that we not only direct public funding to ensuring jobs are created, but also deal with the private sector? Because there's a huge amount of money that is not being invested in the economy, profits that have been made here. Then just one other point, old people would not forgive us if we didn't say that there's a huge difficulty with spending their lives on 50 Rand a day, and that's what the old age pension amounts to at the moment. So that's something that we must take care of. And of course, finally, we welcome the tax increases. And we saw that it wasn't very favorably received by many sectors. But in South Africa, where the top 5 billionaires owe 50% of the wealth in the country, it seems that we need more moves in the direction of using tax to redistribute the wealth that undoes the legacy of apartheid. Thank you.
All right. Before you respond, thank you very much, Tony. Before we get a response, quick ad break, and then we'll take more questions and respond to that answer. Do stay tuned.